They Live with God, which covers the household devotees who came in touch with Sri Ramakrishna. At this time of year, it is mostly the disciples' birthdays, the Tithi Pujas of the disciples are mostly around this time of year. So we have mostly covered the direct disciples' birthdays, and after that we will cover the lay devotees. So today we will speak. Today the talk is on Swami Turiyananda, who was one of the 16 disciples. Each of Sri Ramakrishna's monastic disciples had a particular idea or ideal which they manifested in their life. With Swami Ramakrishnananda, it was puja or ritualistic worship of Sri Ramakrishna, both in Baranagar in the west, in West Bengal, and in Madras in Tamil Nadu. Swami Akhandananda's ideal was serving those afflicted by famine as God in Rajasthan and in West Bengal. Swami Shubodhananda exemplified simplicity. Similarly, Swami Turiyananda was a representative of traditional Vedanta and the wandering Indian sadhu. So each of the disciples of Sri Ramakrishna represented an ideal or a perspective, and Turiyananda represented the traditional ideal of a Vedantic monk. Early life. Swami Turiyananda was known as Harinath Chattopadhyay. He was born on 3 January 1863 in North Calcutta. His His father's name was Chandranath Chattopadhyay, who was a very orthodox Brahmin and worked for a British firm in Calcutta. Chandranath had 3 sons and 3 daughters. Harinath was the youngest of the siblings. His mother, Prasannamai, died when Harinath was 3 years old, and his father died when he was 12 years old. He was mainly brought up by his sister-in-law. Signs of his leaning towards traditional Vedanta were evident even in Harinath's boyhood. In his boyhood, Harinath was drawn to the Brahmin ideal. He was very orthodox and practiced asceticism, especially after he was bestowed with the sacred thread and initiation into the Gayatri Mantra. Some of the things that Harinath practiced in his youth were strict continence or brahmacharya, bathing 3 times a day, practicing japa and meditation regularly, sleeping on the floor, and eating simple vegetarian food. He also built up his body to withstand physical austerities by wrestling in a gym. He could also do 100 push-ups and 500 knee bends at a stretch. Harinath's formal or academic education occurred at the Kambuliyatola Bengali School, where he studied Bengali and Sanskrit literature. Following this, he attended the General Assembly. The General Assembly was a Christian school run by missionaries. Here he proved himself to be beyond sectarian narrowness by attending classes on the Bible. Swami Chaitanananda says that any religious or spiritual book fascinated Harinath. He was given to the study of the Upanishads and he memorized the Bhagavad Gita, Chandi, Viveka Chudamani and the compositions of Tulasidas. Sometimes he would be found in the evenings reciting these texts from memory and crying for God. Harinath, since his youth, committed himself to a celibate life by saying that he would not marry. In spite of this, once there was a proposal of marriage. Harinath spoke burning words of renunciation which scared the parties away. Harinath was also a friend of Gangadhar, later Swami Akhandananda. The two friends used to visit a holy man at the Sarvamangala temple on Chitpur Road, Kolkata. This holy man was said to have had occult powers to heal people and was a clairvoyant or having the ability to see into the future. Harinath would then visit him every evening. On one occasion, the holy man asked Harinath what he wanted. To this, Harinath replied that he wanted to realize God by practicing spiritual disciplines. The holy man replied that the time was still not right for him to pursue this and advised him to keep practicing spiritual disciplines at home. Harinath's first couple of meetings with Sri Ramakrishna. Harinath was in contact with Sri Ramakrishna for about 6 years. He first met him when he was 13 or 14 years old at Dinanath Basu's house in Bagbaza, Kolkata. Harinath watched Sri Ramakrishna disembark from a horse-drawn carriage while he was in a spiritual mood. Harinath was reminded of Shukadeva on seeing Sri Ramakrishna this way. Sri Ramakrishna then entered Dinanath's house, bowed in front of a picture of Kali, and then started singing to her. After this first meeting, there was a gap in Harinath's subsequent meetings with Sri Ramakrishna. His second meeting was probably 2 or 3 years later in the 1880s, according to Swami Chaitanananda. Sri Ramakrishna observed some auspicious signs in Harinath and asked him to visit him on weekdays. Sri Ramakrishna's spiritual instructions to Harinath. A. How to overcome lust. Once Harinath asked Sri Ramakrishna how to overcome lust. To this, Sri Ramakrishna replied, "Why should it go, my boy? Give it a turn in another direction. What is lust? It is the desire to get. So desire to get God and strengthen this desire greatly." B. On freeing oneself from the clutches of the opposite sex. On another occasion, Harinath told Sri Ramakrishna that he was not interested in women. In fact, that he couldn't bear them. To this Sri Ramakrishna replied, "You talk like a fool, looking down upon women. Why? They are the manifestations of the Divine Mother. Bow down to them with respect. That is the only way to escape from their snares. See, becoming aware of the dawn of knowledge." One day Harinath asked Sri Ramakrishna, "How does one become aware of the dawn of knowledge?" Sri Ramakrishna's reply was, "A man does not jump about when he gets illumination. Outwardly, he remains as he was, but his entire perspective of the world is changed. The touch of the philosopher's stone converts a steel sword into gold. It retains its former shape, but it can no longer kill." D. What is there in traditional Vedanta? Harinath for some time did not visit Sri Ramakrishna regularly because he was seriously studying Vedanta. Sri Ramakrishna got to know of this. One day, when Harinath came to Sri Ramakrishna, the latter said, "Hello, I hear that nowadays you are studying and discussing Vedanta philosophy. That is good, of course. But tell me, what is the teaching of the Vedanta? Is it not that Brahman alone is real and the world unreal? Isn't that its substance? Or does it say something else? Then why don't you give up the unreal and cling to the real?" Swami Chetanananda says that this was a turning point in Harinath's life when he discovered the importance of realizing Brahman first-hand rather than simply parroting the scriptures. E. On the usefulness of the scriptures. Once Sri Ramakrishna compared the scriptures to a grocery shopping list. Just as a grocery shopping list becomes useless once you have ticked it off or purchased the items, similarly, the scriptures become redundant after realization and spiritual experience. F. On God's grace. On one occasion at Balaram Babu's house in Kolkata, Sri Ramakrishna said to Harinath, "Nothing can be achieved, neither knowledge nor devotion nor vision, without God's grace. Well, is it an easy matter to realize that lust and gold are unreal and to have the firm conviction that the world is eternally non-existent? Is it possible without His compassion? Can a man have that conviction through his own effort? A person, after all, is a tiny creature with very limited powers. What an infinitesimal part of truth can he grasp by himself?" After hearing this, Harinath commented, "I was deeply moved. That very day, the Master deeply imprinted on my mind the fact that one cannot attain God through self-effort by performing sadhana. Only if God reveals Himself is it possible to attain Him." G. Harinath asked Sri Ramakrishna if realization truly occurs. Once Harinath revealed to Sri Ramakrishna that his goal was nirvana or liberation in this very life. In response to this, Sri Ramakrishna said, "Those who seek nirvana are selfish and small-minded. They are full of fear." Harinath then asked Sri Ramakrishna if realization actually occurred. Sri Ramakrishna then replied, "Of course it does. By Mother's grace, everything takes place." H. How to serve. Once Harinath, while in Sri Ramakrishna's room, placed a knife used by Sri Ramakrishna in another place. Sri Ramakrishna then instructed Harinath to always keep things in their proper place so that they could be found easily in darkness, because you must remember that in those times they didn't have electricity, so everything was candlelight or daylight or those hurricane lanterns. So that's why he probably said this. At the end, Sri Ramakrishna said, "If you want to serve properly, you should completely forget yourself." Here, Sri Ramakrishna, you will get everything for your spiritual life. Once Sri Ramakrishna told Harinath, "Don't forget to come here, because here you will get everything that is needed for your spiritual life. If you can find other opportunities for God realization elsewhere, you may go. What I want is that you should realize God, that you should transcend the misery of the world and enjoy divine bliss, that you should attain Him in this life. The Divine Mother tells me, if you only come here, you will realize God without any effort. That is why I ask you to see me often." J. The nature of the world. On 24 May 1884, Harinath asked Sri Ramakrishna why there was so much suffering in the world. Sri Ramakrishna replied, "The world is the Leela or divine play of God. It is like a game. In this game, there is joy and sorrow, virtue and vice, knowledge and ignorance, good and evil. The game cannot continue if sin and suffering are altogether eliminated from creation. In the game of hide and seek, one must touch the granny in order to be free. But the granny is never pleased if she is touched at the very outset. It is God's wish that the play should continue for some time." To this Harinath replied, "But this play of God is our death." To this Sri Ramakrishna replied, "Please tell me who you are. God alone has become all this." Monasticism, wandering and practices. After Sri Ramakrishna passed away, Harinath took his sannyasa vows and became Swami Turiyananda. Just like the other monastic disciples of Sri Ramakrishna, Swami Turiyananda spent his time both at the monastery and traveling around India like a parivrajika or itinerant monk. He traveled both alone and with his brother disciples. There were challenges, both internal, like the mind not settling down for meditation, and external, like coming under the suspicion of the police. Sometimes Swami Turiyananda had to care and serve for his brother disciples like Swami Vivekananda in Rishikesh. At other time he would stay in one place and practice austerities like at Vrindavan for 6 months. He also studied the scriptures very seriously. He once described his routine. I lived happily in the Garhwal hills, totally forgot the existence of the world, and aimed only at God realization. Oh, those days are coming back to my mind. While I lived in Srinagar Ghat, I used to rise very early and bathe. Then I would sit in meditation and afterwards read. At 11, I would rise and procure some food in an hour. Then I would again begin meditation and japam. And thus I spent every day. It was there that I committed 8 Upanishads to memory. I would meditate on every verse I read, and what an indescribable joy it was. I used to read the commentary of Shankara and the gloss of Jnanananda, and much further light used to come through meditation. Swami Turiyananda's interactions with Swami Vivekananda. After Swami Vivekananda returned from his first trip to the West, he sometimes travelled along with his brother monks, including Swami Turiyananda. In Darjeeling, Swami Vivekananda once told Swami Turiyananda, Brother Hari, I have made a new path and opened it to all. Up until now, it was thought that liberation could be attained only by meditation, repetition of God's name, scriptural discussion, and so forth. Now, young men and women will attain liberation by doing the Lord's work. On another occasion, Swami Vivekananda said to him, Brother, can't you see I have been laying down my life inch by inch in fulfilling the mission of the Master till I am on the verge of death. Can you merely stand looking on and not come to help by relieving me of a part of my burden? Swami Turiyananda in the West. Swami Turiyananda travelled to England and America with Swami Vivekananda and Sister Nivedita in June 1899. After arriving in America via England, Swami Vivekananda made Turiyananda fend for himself by teaching and preaching Vedanta. Turiyananda spent about 1 year in New York, while Swami Vivekananda was in California. Once Turiyananda commented about Vedanta when compared to other religions. Vedanta is not an easy, comfortable religion. Truth is never cheap. So long as we are satisfied with glass beads, we won't search for diamonds. Vedanta is the jewel among religions. Swami Chaitananda says that Swami Turiyananda did not have any curiosity about new things or a desire for sightseeing. He is said to have been perfectly happy and contented within himself. In his interpersonal dealings, Swami Turiyananda was frank and forthright. He didn't mince his words. This sometimes brought about misunderstandings. On one such occasion, Swami Turiyananda said, "You hide your character behind a smooth and polite exterior, but the sore festers in the heart. The Guru is the physician, and once the disease is diagnosed, he must not fear to apply the lancet if necessary. Sometimes a deep, clean incision is the only remedy. You are also sensitive, always afraid of being scolded or exposed. When I flatter a little, you say, 'Swami is so wonderful,' and when I utter a harsh word, you run away." On another occasion, Swami Turiyananda said to a student, "I know you better than you know yourself, because I can look deep into your mind. What is hidden to yourself is revealed to me. In time, you will realize that what I tell you is true." Swami Chaitananda, in discussing this period of Swami Turiyananda's life in America, briefly talks about the role Western women played in the propagation of Vedanta. Sometimes there were some women that tried to boss or control Swami Turiyananda and even Swami Vivekananda in spite of helping out financially. Swami Turiyananda refused to be controlled and was straightforward in responding to them. On one occasion, Swami Turiyananda said, "Madam, you have helped me with a few dollars, but that does not mean that I have sold my head to you." Shanti Ashrama. Shanti Ashrama was a retreat property donated by Miss Minnie C. Book to Swami Vivekananda. It is a 160-acre or 65-hectare property located in Northern California. Swami Vivekananda deputed Swami Turiyananda to take up the work at Shanti Ashrama, saying that it was the will of the Divine Mother. He told the devotees and friends that he would send them a monk who lived the ideas that he preached. To put things in context, Shanti Ashrama was virgin land. There was no running water, no electricity, no bathroom facilities. The land was infested with snakes, scorpions, tarantulas, and the like. Water had to be brought from 6 miles away. There was no market nearby. In these conditions, Swami Turiyananda traveled to Shanti Ashrama with about 12 people. The routine of those at the Shanti Ashrama was getting up around 5 a.m. to the chanting of Swami Turiyananda. Then the men would go away some distance from the cabins and have their bath. Then they would enter the cabin for meditation. Again, then there would be chanting before and after meditation. After meditation, the women would prepare breakfast, while the men carried water, chopped wood, planted vegetables, built wooden cabins. Breakfast was served at 8 a.m. After breakfast, they went back to their respective duties. At 10 a.m., there was a Bhagavad Gita class for an hour. After this, there was meditation again. At 1 p.m., they had lunch. There was some free time after this. At 4 p.m., there was tea. At 7 p.m., there was supper. At 8 p.m., they started a 2-hour meditation. At 10 p.m., all went to their tents or cabins. Some of the teachings of Swami Turiyananda that were imparted at Shanti Ashrama. Some of the teachings that Swami Turiyananda imparted to the people on retreat were: you are always speaking of being good. That is your highest ideal. We in India want mukti, liberation. You believe in sin, so you want to conquer sin by being good. We believe ignorance to be the great evil, so we want to conquer ignorance with jnana, wisdom, and jnana is mukti. On another day, Swami Turiyananda said, the world is neither good or bad. What I call good, you perhaps call bad, and the reverse. Where is the standard? The standard is in your own attitude towards life. Each one has his or her standard, and the increased experience and insight, the standard changes. The pity is that we still recognize evil. When we become perfectly good ourselves, the whole world will appear good. We see only the reflection of our own minds. See the Lord always in everything. You will see no evil. A suspicious mind sees evil everywhere. A trusting mind sees only good. Another instruction imparted by Swami Turiyananda was: sincerity is the backbone of spirituality. One should practice it in one's actions and thoughts. There should be no disagreement between what one feels and what one says, and at the same time, one should not be cruel or unkind when one adheres to truth. Make your heart and tongue one. Swami Atulananda's reminiscences on pages 377 to 379 in God Live With Them by Swami Chaitanananda are very inspiring. I wanted to quote from there, but it is too long. So if you want some hardcore Vedantic teachings, please read that section. But I will warn you and say that it is mostly for monastics. The following section from this book, entitled in San Francisco and Oakland, is also good. Please also look at that if you get some time. One of Swami Turiyananda's teachings from this period is: no matter about philosophy or even the Gita, the thing to do is to know Mother. That is the whole of religion. Nothing else counts. Take all your troubles to Mother. She will right all wrongs. Back to India. After Swami Vivekananda left America, having deputed Swami Turiyananda to be at Shanti Ashrama and San Francisco, Swami Turiyananda had a tremendous urge to see Swami Vivekananda again. But either before this urge or after it, he had a vision of the Divine Mother. The Divine Mother showed him many buildings and disciples if he stayed in America. But Swami Turiyananda did not listen to the Divine Mother. He was insistent on going back to India to see Swami Vivekananda and then return to America. But unfortunately, while Turiyananda was on his way back, while at sea, he got information that Swami Vivekananda had passed away on 4 July 1902. This changed Swami Turiyananda's plans. He stayed back in India and resumed his old life of an itinerant monk. He sometimes visited and stayed at the centers of the Ramakrishna Mutt and Ramakrishna Mission or at other pilgrim centers around India. The sort of routine that Swami Turiyananda followed during this period was rising at 3 o'clock in the morning and finishing his morning duties. He then meditated until noon. He then ate some rice and milk, his only meal for the day. Excuse me. When Devi Giri, a well-known monk, was there, Swami Turiyananda would discuss the Mandukya Upanishad and Karika of Gaudapada with him. Swami Turiyananda was particularly fond of the verse, "There is no dissolution, there is no birth, none in bondage, none aspiring for wisdom, no seeker of liberation, and none liberated. This is the absolute truth." On another occasion, there was a feast or bandara. Swami Gangananda attended the bandara and told Swami Turiyananda about the greediness of an old monk. Swami Turiyananda scolded Swami Gangananda for this. He said, "Why are you criticizing that old monk? Your boat is in the middle of the turbulent river. Don't see the faults in others. Rather, see your own defects. He who sees faults in others is guilty." Swami Turiyananda was very frank, truthful, and straightforward. He was forthright in pointing out the defects, especially of those who served him. But one day he came across a verse from the Bhagavata which says, "Realizing the universe as one in the aspect of Purusha and Prakriti, never praise or blame the actions of others." Then he read the commentary on this verse, which says, "If accidentally the teeth bite the tongue, hurt and cut it, do people take a piece of stone and break the teeth? No, because the teeth belong to the same person to whom the tongue belongs. Since the one Lord who is in me also resides in others, is it proper to find faults with them?" Swami Chetanananda says that this teaching made a deep impression on Swami Turiyananda, and he became gentler in correcting the faults of others. Swami Turiyananda living Vedanta. Swami Turiyananda was not just an academic Vedantic monk, but practiced what he preached. He lived and breathed Vedanta. There were instances where Turiyananda was a daredevil, and challenged the status quo. The following are some instances of this. A. Swami Turiyananda had some carbuncles that needed to be surgically removed. I do not know if anesthesia was available during those days in India, but he refused chloroform. He just wanted some warning from the doctor, and he withdrew his mind from the particular region. As a result, he could not feel any pain during the surgical procedure. B. Once Swami Turiyananda saw a tiger during his travels. Luckily, the tiger just looked at him, and he looked at the tiger, and then they both went their separate ways. There was no confrontation. C. Once in Kurukshetra, two gentlemen came and spoke to Swami Turiyananda about Vedanta. Swami Turiyananda talked about the highest Vedanta. I am not the body, the mind, or the ego. I am only the eternal Atman. One of the gentlemen did not accept what Turiyananda said. He said to him, if you are not the body, can you put your hand into this fire? Swami Turiyananda jumped up and said, yes, I can do it. Even if I put my hand into the fire, I will not burn, but the body will be burnt. Then the other friend interrupted because he thought they were going too far and didn't compel Swami Turiyananda to put his hand into the fire. D. Swami Turiyananda, while in Puri, Orissa, had some trouble with his eyes. The doctor had prescribed some eye drops for him. On one occasion, his sevak, Swami Sarvananda, accidentally put some diluted nitric acid into his eye. Swami Turiyananda responded by saying, I think you have given me the wrong medicine. See what you have given? The sevak was shocked when he discovered that it was nitric acid. Then someone else washed out Swami Turiyananda's eye. Swami Turiyananda remained calm and composed. According to Swami Chetanananda, he was the embodiment of forbearance. In Varanasi, on one occasion, a doctor was operating on Swami Turiyananda's finger. His sevak or attendant asked him, don't you feel any pain? Turiyananda then replied, look, the mind is like a child. We must hold it tight. But like a youngster, it will go on crying. Let me go, let me go. Once in the midst of surgery, I let my mind get loose. Immediately, I felt intense pain. The surgery was not finished, so I had to catch a hold of the mind once more. Swami Turiyananda's health or medical problems and Mahasamadhi. Some of the health issues that Swami Turiyananda had were diabetes. He also had a number of carbuncles on his back. Towards the end of his life, Swami Turiyananda's back was infested with gangrene. The day before he passed, he said to his sevaks, tomorrow is the last day. Then he chanted, Om Ramakrishna, Om Ramakrishna. With the help of his sevak, he sat up. With folded hands, he saluted Sri Ramakrishna and drank some holy water. He then said, everything is real. Brahman is real. The world is real. The world is Brahman. The life force is established in truth. Hail Ramakrishna, Hail Ramakrishna. Say that he is the embodiment of truth and the embodiment of knowledge. Then, with Swami Akhandananda, he recited an Upanishadic mantram, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma. Brahman is truth, knowledge and infinity. Swami Turiyananda's end came on 21 July 1922 when he passed away. So this is the life of Swami Turiyananda ji. I left out some portions from Swami Chaitananda ji's book. If you are interested in following up on those, please do so. Thank you. Om Shanti 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 Harihi Om Tat Sat Sri Ramakrishna Paramastu.